Hey guys, so this video is going to cover the top 10 GTM workflows that you can run inside Claude Code. And I'm going to keep it very high level for the sake of this video because I'm just introducing this as a concept, but the next set of videos is going to have like in-depth breakdowns and how to actually build a skill and how to actually do all of these things. I'm going to explain every single thing one by one, right? It's going to be in subsequent videos. So this is just the table of contents. By the way, who am I? My name is Shaw. I'm the head of GTM, head of growth at Pipeline Tech. The table of contents, just this, bunch of workflows, and a little bit of who I am. I've ran cold email campaigns for over 45 companies so far. Just today, I have a live dashboard that tells me how many meeting ready leads I've generated across all of my clients. And today, I hit the 4,700 mark because some of my clients are just ripping at the moment, which is amazing. What I want to talk to you about today is what are GTM teams doing today? Like the current stack is 6 tabs, some bulk. You have Apollo for the list, you got Smart Lead to send, you got Clay for enrichment, ChatGPT for the copy, Slack for the alerts. Somebody remembers. Google Sheet for like the source of truth, etc. You go from tab to tab to tab to tab, trying to juggle everything until you find your rhythm. You're wasting time. These tools are not communicating with one another. You're doing copy paste after copy paste after copy paste. When is that going to stop? I'm going to introduce a solution that is going to help you stop that. Why should you adapt? Right? You don't necessarily have to care, but why should you adapt? MCPs killed the 6+ tab stacking completely. This is something majority of the GTM teams have not noticed at all. This is something I personally have seen, having worked with 40+ companies. Their entire sales team is like communicating with one tool, copy pasting that stuff onto another tool. Quick story. So one of my clients, they have a 7-person sales team. They got like 2 that are in the manager position, and then they have 1 AE, and the rest of them are SDRs and BDRs, right? I spoke to the SDRs and BDRs. They said they spend close to 2.5-3 hours to do manual pre-call briefs on every single prospect. I just showed them a specific workflow with Claude Code that did it in like 2 minutes. Yeah, this guy was shocked. This guy was stunned. So that's one of the workflows that I don't want to go around spoiling the whole thing, but that's just one of the workflows. So quick story time. So why should you adapt, right? MCPs is something that lets one model talk to the other. One model talk to all of them. You can connect your Clay MCP inside Claude Code, Crunchbase MCP inside Claude Code, Prospeo API key inside Claude Code, Ocean MCP inside Claude Code. Again, this is a video that I made using Claude Code, and I'm showing you guys how to use the Ocean MCP to, essentially build a list of accounts and then score them and then qualify them. Now, we have so many tools. What are some of the workflows that you can build with these tools? Now let's go about introducing the workflows in the first list, right? Yeah. Let's reverse engineer your ICP from the closed one, because your ICP is defined by who buys from me. Don't define it in a simple Notion doc and call it a day. You have to derive it from revenue. Who paid you the most amount of money? Who was so easy to work with, and how much money did they pay you? What is the lifetime value associated with each of these closed ones? Filter it high to low. A closed one is a CSV that's like exported from your HubSpot, from your CRM. It could be HubSpot, Salesforce, Pipedrive, Close, whatever. Adio, doesn't matter. Get the names of the company, the domain, the deal sizes, the date of closing, the industry, and employee count. All the other interesting information, we can find it later. Using Firecrawl, Spider.cloud, etc. And sample size is
30 plus closed won deals as the bare minimum. If you have less than 30, it's going to be very hard for you to understand. I'd say to focus more on getting more deals in through the door and then doing this analysis. The process here is super simple. Claude Code reads the CSV, clusters the customers by 3 types: firmographic, behavioral, and trigger. Like what type of company, etc. And then behavioral, like what's their GTM motion looking like? What's the trigger, right? Create the surface for the 7 dimensions where the overlap is statistically meaningful, right? And in this doc, I'm gonna go over this prompt where I'm walking through every single step. Like this is the prompt that you would have to paste inside Claude Code along with the CSV file that I just showed, right? The second workflow is building your TAM from bottom up. What do I mean by bottom up? From your closed one, right? Bottom up. Get your derived ICP, the markdown file, ICP_derived.md from workflow number 1, or just do like a manual paste. Like I said, if you're less than 30 clients, do a manual paste.
Get the target total addressable market size. Typical numbers,
typical is between 10,000 accounts and 100,000 plus accounts. So the bare minimum is you have the ability to find 5 people, 5 contacts that works at each of these accounts. So 50,000 people that you can reach out to in 10,000 companies. So TAM is like usually the largest number. TAM, and then you have SAM, and then you have SOM. TAM is your total addressable market. SAM is your serviceable available market. SOM is your serviceable obtainable market, right? You pretty much want to be emailing your entire TAM every 60 days, every 60 to 90 days, so that you have that consistent pipeline, because you don't know when someone is entering that buying window. Spoiler alert, that's one of the workflows that I'll be discussing here. So the process for this is it queries Crunchbase for funding, metadata, etc., LinkedIn for headcount and growth. So this is actually done through the Clay MCP, because Clay has a enrich company function and an enrich contact function. So the enrich company function gives you the head count and growth percentage in the last 3, 6, 9, 12 months. And then you have Firecrawl or spider.cloud. Spider.cloud, I'm hearing a lot of very good things about spider.cloud. So Firecrawl, spider.cloud for company page details, etc. And then Exa for adjacency and semantic searching. This is the expected that you're supposed to get a list of all companies by industry type, by firmographic, behavioral, structural, everything. And this is pretty much the prompt for the workflow. Now, how will you score any account CSV with a predefined scoring or a rubric system, right? You looked at your closed one, you got your ICP, you got your TAM from that bottom up build.
Now, you just have a giant list.
Now comes the part where you score each account that is inside a CSV with some sort of a predefined rubric, right? So let's say you go to Ocean or Disco-like or any of these lookalike tools. They're going to give you the score ranked by similarity. But I want you guys to focus on ranking it by fit. So the inputs and the context is you're giving an input as the CSV, or like some Apollo export, or maybe you went to a niche database and you started pulling every company over there. Process is super simple. Read the CSV, audit the rubric inputs, and give a score accounts scored.csv where every input is scored with a fit score, a lookalike score, structural score, and a composite score. This helps you tier each account. So for those that are 80 plus, you could do cold email, cold call, LinkedIn messaging, account-based marketing at full strength, full weight. The ones that are tier 2, 65 to 79, focus more on doing cold email and just cold calling to them, right? For those that are tier 3, just do cold email. And the ones that are less than 50, personally, I would drop them until they enter some of the upper tiers, because this is some sort of a workflow that you need to have running, because they may not have a specific signal. They may not display a specific signal right now. That's why they're below 50. Once they enter above 50, I would have them enter the cold email or the cold email plus cold call, or like the full scale, full-fledged account-based marketing motion. So I wouldn't personally like drop them. I know I said that. I'll take that back. I would keep them under this DSV called monitor, so that we monitor these accounts every 30 days, every 7 days, every 14 days. Take your pick, right? And then the prompt is over there. So if you want access to this document and the full prompt, join gtmelites.io. Otherwise, I'm not sharing it. You're just going to see the video. You're just going to see all of the stuff. I'm not going to open the prompt for workflow 3 onwards down there. And if you want access to it, join gtmelites.io. Full. The fourth workflow is detecting buying windows. So this actually came across to me as a concept when I was doing the plays round 32. Like, you have to do this to enter the round of 32. So I think there were like 128 people or something like that. They were just doing this as an example. And I was like, wow, there were so many things to learn about, understanding buying windows, etc. And so I learned some of the different type of signals that you can have. So you'll have some sort of a trigger signal, you'll have some sort of leading signals, you'll have some sort of custom signals that you just build from the ground up, and then you'll have a structural signal that is just completely different, right? So the inputs and the context that you give here is the scored accounts, like the output of the previous workflow. You see how I'm chaining each of these, right? The output of the previous workflow. So you only run buying window detection on accounts that already pass your fit score. So like tiers 1 and 2 and 3, or just tier 1, right? Definition of your leading indicator, definition of your specific buying triggers, definition of custom signals, right? Claude Code is just going to layer a 100-point score, and it's going to have trigger signals that are, on a weight decayed model by recency. For example, a chief information security officer was hired 20 days ago is worth more than CISO that was hired 80 days ago, right? Leading signals come from current job postings. Custom signals come from scraping public pages, looking at information, tech stack, etc., right? The expected output is going to be this windows.csv, a printed top 5 list of single biggest signal, like the top 5 list with the single biggest signal driving each score, and a recommended cadence per tier. So if someone's like hot, multi-channel, someone's warm, cold email plus cold call. If someone's like, part of the cold, I would do like a 6-month nurture sequence, or just have them under a monitor tab that looks at the signal every 20 to 30 days, right? 21 to 30 days, 3 to 4 routes. The next one is actually my favorite. And I made multiple posts about this, which is, how do you automate your entire GTM strategy building process from scratch? I mean, I know people that pay $25,000 with a consultant for this GTM strategy. I'm not kidding. I am not kidding. There are people that take 60 days to do this. Sure, I know they take information about your close one, your all of this stuff, but you just implement every single thing from workflows 1 through 5 and save yourself $25,000 with a consultant, right? You spend 20 minutes inside the terminal, you get this done, right? Because the inputs are already stuff that you've built from workflow number 1, right? Take the client name, basic context, all of this stuff, give the inputs. The process is a consultant grade strategy doc is something that would be spat out as the output, right? It's going to do like a teardown with the buying window thesis. It's going to do infra recommendation, size to the volume. Like if they want to do a high volume, is it 100,000 emails per month? Is it 1 million emails per month? What sort of list building workflow are we going to use? Which MCPs are we going to use here? What order are we going to use these waterfall enrichments, etc.? What sort of a messaging cadence are we going to run for each of them, right? So you'll get the output as a markdown file, and you'll also get a PDF that is like branded client facing, etc. And then some of the other stuff that is very, very helpful, that is going to be very helpful to a GTM engineer, is running a Google Maps scraper, is building some sort of a Google Maps scraper inside of your Claude Code, right? Instead of this one. I haven't really talked for 17 and a half minutes for straight. Needs more. Pretty sure my editor is going to keep this just in the video. Anyway, workflow number 6, Google Maps scraping. You probably can't find dentists or local business like HVAC companies, roofing companies, pesticide companies, pool cleaning companies, etc., stuff like that. You can't find it on Apollo. Look, no shade to Apollo, they just don't have that data, right? But there are so many people that sell to these companies. How are you going to find them? Google Maps is the source. You could go to Appify or go to any of these pre-built scrapers and you could build something of, you could just pay them more and more money. Or, wait for it. You could just build it with Open Web Ninja's MCP API key, get the vertical, get the geography, pulls every single usable information that you would need, right? Because it's so easy to do this. You're going to input the vertical, the geography, and optionally lower minimum review count or the minimum rating threshold. Like if someone is a 3-star business, you just don't want to work with them. Or if you're one of those agencies that works with, hey, we'll remove negative reviews for you, you would want to focus on people that have less than 4 stars, right? So that's just another input that you can create. And the expected output would be a CSV with the name of the business, the website, the phone, the address, rating, review count, the name of the owner, the email, the guest email, and the scrape of the website. You can just get that info from Firecrawl or spider.wow, right? And the whole workflow, so this is exactly a workflow that I built that took, I think, 7 or 8 prompts in a sequence. So that is inside the nested page that you see in here, which I'm not going to show you guys right now. Join GTM Elites and I'll show it to you and I'll send it to you. Workflow number 7, the email finding and verification waterfall. So this is a very repeatable process that you can build. I know many people have their own Clay workflow to do this, etc. I get it. It's great, right? Now, the understanding that you need to have here is finding and verification has to be 2 separate steps. So let's say you have a waterfall enrichment to find all of these emails. So Lead Magic, Prospeo, ICPs, TriKit, blah, 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 finds the email. You get 90% of emails filled out. And then you run enrichment. You do million verifier, and then you do bounce back. So what does million verifier do here in the first place, right? First thing, it puts the output into 3 buckets. It's valids, and then risky, and then invalids. Valids, good to go. So the ones that are tagged as risky, these go into a second layer through bounce back, which would be for deeper validation, right? So what catch-all means is the server has pointed itself as catch-all, but then the email may not even exist in the first place, right? So if you send an email to that email when it doesn't exist, sender reputation is going to drop, right? Because you're sending an email to an account that simply doesn't exist. So process there is if million verifier tags it as catch-all or unknown, you're going to pass that through bounce ban, and only if bounce ban says yes or deliverable or valid are you going to add it to your output. So this way you pass inputs.csv and you get an output verified.csv. Pretty simple, pretty straightforward. Now let's talk about workflow number 8. Workflow number 8 is the pre-call research that I was talking about. Remember the first part of the video where I was saying how the pre-call research has to be done and how these people were taking, 2.5, 3 hours to do it, right? So I personally know BDRs spending anywhere from 30 minutes to 3 hours researching one singular account. These people are raw dogging it with Google search. I am not kidding. I am not joking. They are not using any LLMs. There are so many people that are still doing this. I am not kidding. I've seen this. I'm trying my best not to swear to the video. But so inputs, context, you can pull all of this stuff from the Calendly or the type form that was filled out by the person. And then you can have a pre-call research doc as a markdown file that gets pinged to this person as a Slack notification, right? Super great. Workflow number 9 is a video that I've already posted about on LinkedIn, which is how do you ship PvP, not player versus player, permissionless value proposition lead magnet docs for companies. So this is part of my ABN workflow that I'm going to talk about later, because I truly believe you have the tools and the ability to ship and run ABM at scale, like Dream 100, Dream 1000, Dream 10,000 at scale, because we have the cold email infra and we can just send a snippet of something that is so valuable where the emails will now be, 250, 300 words, and not following the actual cold email standards of 45 to 60 words, right? So this is input a target company URL, etc., right? And what your positioning or service or your product is, and a budget on research time. You could do 60 minutes of Claude Code compute, or it's X amount of dollars in API costs, right? Process is going to be Claude Code researches the target as if we're a real prospective client, infers their ICP from all of these various sources, produces a 4 to 10 page PDF that looks like a $5,000 consultant deliverable. And we just send it, right? And in the cold email, we send in little snippet. And then in the second email, we actually send the URL, like as a Google Drive thing, right? And that's just workflow number 9. The last one is the speed to lead notification system. So I'm going to touch on a little bit of the round robin thing as well, because let's say you connect Slack MCP to Claude Code and you have your Plus Vibe or Email Bicep webhook that comes into Claude Code. So there's a central location where all of this lives. You can have a Slack channel for the live reply notification and have an AE routing map that you can get, right? Or an SDR routing map that you can get. So this can be sent to the appropriate, AE or SDR based on the industry or based on the reply or based on who the person is replying in the first place. So this just walks through the inputs, the context, and the process. And then the expected output is like a runnable background service as a Python script, and then a YML configuration that has like the ICP segments mapped to each AE slot. Charlie, Danny, and Echo. It's so easy to create a system like this for all of them to get properly notified. So if someone is currently occupied with a specific lead, the substitute AE is going to get notified. So you're essentially creating a round robin framework, a round robin system where every lead is replied to within, this has to be 5 minutes, 15 minutes, anyway, instead of 3 to 9 days. So, and then little bonus is, what is the force multiplier? How do you have all of these 10 workflows in a breathable, living Claude Code folder, which communicates and runs on a trigger, runs whenever you run specific workflows? So that's just the force multiplier. You know what? If you stayed and watched this video for 27.5 minutes of me just sitting and just talking, you know what? You deserve to know what's in the force multiplier. Let me expand this. Yeah, you absolutely and truly deserve what's in workflow number 11. So I'll show you. I'll show you what that is. So it is an image that talks about how the architecture of the folder should be, right? So the input is the commands folder, the check 10 prompts that were used above, and a BDR or a RevOps teammate that has never written Python but can type a / command, right? Every workflow becomes a one-line active / command
in a markdown file under .claude/commands, which contains everything. So if you type
/pre-call contact and company before any meeting, the PDF lands in your folder or in your Slack 30 seconds later, maybe a minute later, right? The 10 workflows above gets turned into 10 keystrokes that anyone on the team can run. And here's the expected output, right?
I'm just going to walk you through the project root folder that so in your project root folder, how these commands are going to look like, how the markdown files are going to look like. I'm just going to take a quick snip of that image and I am going to paste it so you all can see it, because you stayed with me until 28 minutes and you deserve to see it. I'm going to delete and I'm going to paste. Architecture of force multiplier full /commands. And each markdown file would contain the full prompt. You know, it will have the corresponding workflows. You can also get specific variables and placeholders from up there pasted in here. So an example would look like this. You can generate a pre-call brief for this full name at this company, and right. And this is how many like minutes and hours that you would save per run. And I've just added all of this over here. So since you stayed till the end, I'm showing you workflow number 11, which I was not supposed to show. Same. Who the heck is gonna sue me anyway? And if you're part of GTM Elites community, you get full access to these 5 videos. 5 or 6. I don't know if I added 5 or 6 videos. 5 videos. So let me show you. Yeah, so how to map your entire TAM. This is me walking you through a very proprietary workflow that I built and understanding the speed to lead notification system, walking you through that as well. And then how to build contact lists. So I start off with the workflow picture over here, and then I started talking about how you can go to Apollo and build it yourself, how you can go to Prospeo, build it yourself, how you can build it within Claude Code Terminal, etc. All of this is covered in that video. And then we have what is going on. And then I have a couple more videos that just gives you an overview of the GTM architecture, gives you a bunch of different overviews on how you can automate campaign management and do ongoing optimizations to list and copy. I don't know. I just want to end the video here because I feel like my system can't handle it. I'll see you guys on the next one where I do a deep dive to each and every single workflow in here. All right. Cheers.